Starting now, this is your local news leader, News 10 ABC at 4.
Right now at 4, COVID-19 cases are surging here in New York State, and the governor today is mandating vaccines for more workers in New York, but leaving masks and other COVID guidelines up to local governments.
Those local governments today keeping their recommendations simple. Listen to the CDC.
And with millions of Americans facing the threat of eviction now, why President Biden is calling on local governments to help those in need. Your local news at 4 starts right now.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lydia Kulbida.
And I'm Tim Lake. Well, Governor Cuomo today is leaving it up to local governments to decide whether to enforce a new mask-wearing guideline that was put out by the CDC.
News 10 ABC's Giuliana Bruno has the details of today's announcement and what the governor is saying about the possibility of vaccination mandates.
If you are unvaccinated, Delta variant should be a major concern to you, and you should be worried about it.
Governor Cuomo in New York City today addressing the prevalence of the Delta variant and the CDC's newest guidance that even vaccinated people in counties with substantial level of community transmission should wear masks indoors.
Local governments, you should adopt that CDC mask guidance. Learn the lesson from last year. Don't deny reality.
Cuomo says he can't implement a statewide mask mandate, but it also wouldn't be enough. And that if numbers don't come down, a vaccine mandate should be considered for nursing home workers, teachers, and public-facing healthcare workers. He feels school districts should say today that teachers either get their shot or be subject to weekly testing.
If you don't set a policy today, you're going to have chaos when school opens, because it'll be impossible for a teacher to get the 2 shots done.
The governor says mandating COVID vaccines by state law would take an act of the legislature. Reporting in Albany, Giuliana Bruno, News 10 ABC.
We have team coverage of this topic as cases of COVID-19 are on the rise locally. The area actually has the highest 7-day positivity rate in the state.
And News 10 ABC's Jamie DeLine reporting now with a message from local counties. Listen to the CDC.
We're all seeing case numbers go up, unfortunately.
6 local counties now meeting the threshold for substantial community transmission, Albany County being one of them. In a statement, County Executive Dan McCoy saying, quote, "We are following CDC guidance, which recommends that those in counties with substantial or high rates of community transmission have all individuals, vaccinated or not, mask indoors. If the situation changes, we will respond accordingly." In Rensselaer County, local officials say they're keeping a close eye on the situation. And while there has been a recent increase in cases, the county is encouraged by the low rate of hospitalizations. Director of Operations Rich Christ saying in part, quote, "Residents should continue to use common sense and be aware of CDC recommendations in the coming days." Schenectady County saying something similar, adding that vaccination is key to navigating through this pandemic. Beginning today, the Columbia County Department of Health is reinstituting the use of masks within the department. And while Warren County has not met the threshold for substantial community transmission, Don Lehman says cases there are increasing as well. But when it comes to implementing a mask mandate,
I don't anticipate a mask mandate. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any real push for that here on the county level. We haven't had any of our own mandates or executive orders.
At this point, there are no mask mandates on a state or local level. Reporting, Jamie DeLine, News 10 ABC.
Vaccination rates across the capital region's largest counties continue to tick up, with several sitting above the state average for adults with at least 1 dose. Schenectady, Warren, Albany, and Saratoga counties have all reached more than 3/4 of people 18 and up with at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Rensselaer and Columbia counties have hit the 70% mark. Fulton, the least vaccinated county in the area, reaching just 53% of their adult population to this point.
New York State United Teachers, the state's largest teachers union, saying directly today they do not support the idea of a vaccine mandate. Now, the union says they support local efforts to encourage more vaccinations, but testing, they say, remains the key to preventing an outbreak. They say it's critical for school districts to come up with their own plans to make testing available at school and at no cost.
New at 4, we've learned the identity of a man killed in a two-car crash on the thruway in Amsterdam. 27-year-old Thaddeus Peterson of Albany was riding in the back seat of a Saturn on Thursday when his vehicle was hit by a minivan. Police say the driver of that van took a turn too quickly and the two vehicles collided head-on. No other adults involved in the crash were seriously injured. However, a 4-year-old boy who was in the back seat of the van suffered life-threatening injuries and remains in critical condition. The child was not in a car seat, but he was wearing a seatbelt. The driver of the van was ticketed. Continuing coverage on gun violence in the capital city. 2 more people injured this weekend in a shooting. It happened yesterday afternoon just before 4 o'clock. Police responding to Catherine and Elizabeth Streets in Albany for a report of shots fired. Shortly after that, 2 men ages 19 and 22 walked into Albany Medical Center with gunshot wounds. Both are receiving treatment. APD officers are looking for suspects related to this incident, and if you have any information, you are asked to give them a call.
Happening this week, Michael Mann, the former CEO of My Payroll HR, is scheduled for sentencing in state and in federal court. Last August, Mann pleaded guilty to orchestrating a years-long fraud which caused more than $100 million in losses to banks, financial companies, and other businesses. He also pleaded guilty on state charges of money laundering. Mann is now scheduled to be in federal court in Albany and Saratoga County courts on Wednesday.
Some exciting news up north. The Special Olympics of New York officially bringing their fall games back after 6 years, and they're going to be held right here in the capital region in Glens Falls. Fall games were cut from the Special Olympics budget in 2015, leaving some 19,000 fall sports athletes without a championship to work towards. The games were supposed to be held in Glens Falls last year, but were postponed due to the pandemic. Now is in the air as they are officially on for this October.
I hope that everyone in the community will join us to have the best Olympics ever, to wind up, to showcase our community and our tri-county region of Saratoga, Warren, and Washington County, to show the love that we have each and every day for each other. We get to show that off to the rest of the state, but more importantly, to serve and love our athletes. So I'm really looking forward to that.
There will be 7 different sports highlighted during the games, including golf, soccer, and bocce. The games will be held on October 22nd and 23rd. And as we take a quick peek at the storm tracker forecast, there were points this weekend it felt a little fall-like.
Oh, it sure did. It felt cold, but hopefully, finally, the good weather is ahead of us. Here's Tim now with a look.
I knew somebody would say it was cold.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't you. No. It's a fantastic start to the week, and it's great news considering how the month of July ended up proceeding. Yeah, several days where we get to enjoy sunshine and dry weather. Check out the view from the Rensselaer Rail Station, sparkling in that blend of clouds and sunshine. And yes, temperature's still running a little bit cool, but you know what? Let's take it and put money in the bank. 75 in Albany, 69 though at Pittsfield, 76 Hudson, 81 at Kingston, mid-70s at Glens Falls, 72 Johnstown, 69 Cobleskill, 64 at Big Moose. Quick look at the storm tracker high definition radar. A couple hours ago, a couple of showers southern Herkimer County. They have died out. Same deal. A couple of showers toward the Tri-County region of Glens Falls, dying out as they ended up pushing through central portions of Vermont. A little wrinkle rotating through the flow as high pressure now taking over for the rest of today, tonight, through tomorrow, into Wednesday, into Thursday. That'll be the earliest opportunity for any chance of precipitation, and that focus looks like it'll be to the south and east of Albany. Again, not until Thursday. Forecast overnight lows tonight, clear, patchy fog, low clouds, down to 53 in Albany, 51 at Selkirk, 52 at Saratoga, 49 at Stephentown, 48 at Rensselaerville, and 49 in the town of Day. Planners, we head through the day on Tuesday. Some low clouds and fog. Otherwise, it's sunny to partly cloudy and a high of 77. Allergy forecast. Ragweed. You know it, because a number of people going, got that kind of itchy sensation in the corner of my eyes. That's the ragweed settling in. 6.3 today in the Richter scale. 7.3 tomorrow. 7.1 Wednesday. 7.4 on Thursday. All right. When can we get that heat and humidity back for those who are yearning for that full-fledged summer feel to the air? We'll let you know. Storm Tracker 7-day forecast coming up at 4:16. Lydia.
We'll see you soon. Thank you, Tim. New research showing the increasing benefits of breast milk early on in a child's life. Could getting the COVID-19 vaccine help you protect your newborn from the virus?
Also, the federal eviction moratorium has expired. What does this mean for millions of Americans who still can't pay their rent?
And it's not all fun and games at Japan 2020. Why some athletes and staff are getting in trouble for sightseeing. Taking a look at Wednesday's calendar at the Saratoga Racecourse. Gates open at 11, post time 1:05, and it's a big day. 2 featured races, the Shine Again and the New York SSS Statue of Liberty Division Stakes.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader, with Lydia Kulbida, Trishna Begum, and Tim Drawbridge. You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader.
In health news, today marks the start of World Breastfeeding Week, and according to some small studies, COVID-19 antibodies linked to the vaccine have actually been detected in some women's breast milk. It's been proven that babies who breastfeed have a lower risk of contracting certain infections, and some data is suggesting newborn babies may be at a higher risk of a severe illness if they get COVID-19. Whether or not the COVID antibodies found in breast milk will help protect a baby remains unclear, but other vaccines have been proven to be beneficial.
When mothers get the flu vaccine, they produce antibodies, and these antibodies actually protect the newborn when they are transferred through breast milk to the babies.
Pregnant women are encouraged to get the COVID-19 vaccine as they are more likely to suffer from severe illness, according to the CDC. Anyone with questions about the vaccine should contact their healthcare provider.
In Washington now, the federal moratorium on evictions has expired, leaving millions of Americans at risk of losing a place to live. ABC's Ike Ejachi has in Washington now with the latest.
Heather Waller says for her, it's just a matter of time.
The moratorium ending, it basically means that at any point I can end up on the street.
The Madison, Wisconsin renter is like the millions of Americans across the country now at risk of losing a place to live after Congress failed to address the expiring eviction moratorium.
A lot of people have families, a lot of people just, they don't know what to do next.
According to the Aspen Institute, more than 15 million people live in households that owe as much as $20 billion to their landlords. And as of July 5th, roughly 3.6 million people in the U.S. said they faced eviction in the next 2 months.
The president has asked all of us, including the CDC, to do everything in our power to look for every potential legal authority we can have to prevent evictions.
Some lawmakers, including Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, camping out on Capitol Hill over the weekend, calling on Congress to reconvene to address key issues regarding the eviction moratorium.
We have governors who are also not getting this emergency rental assistance out in time, which is forcing this extension, what we would like an extension of the moratorium.
Ocasio-Cortez says the White House dropped the ball, waiting until the day before the moratorium ended to issue a statement asking local governments to address the issue at hand. Nancy Pelosi says Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will have a presentation tomorrow regarding eviction moratoriums, all while President Biden is urging state and local governments to extend the moratorium by another 2 months. Ike Ejachi, ABC News, Washington.
Time now to take a look at your full storm tracker forecast as we start the work week off with a good note.
Yes, with some sunshine out there. We like that, Tim.
Sunshine's always a good thing, especially with a pleasant feel to the air. And I know it's a little bit cool. Don't worry, those temps will gradually be moderating back closer to 80 midweek. Fantastic view of the south side of Saratoga Lake, the Malta side, as we look from the backyard of Sina and Dave and the rest of the crew that likely will be hanging out with a campfire and chilling out in the hammock later this evening. Live view from Germantown, spectacular. A little bit of a chomp there in the open waters of the Hudson. In the meantime, in between, it's Colony and the crossings. Out to News 10's Rob Lindenmuth in the mobile storm tracker. Enjoying the sunshine. I got to ask, Rob, did you swing by on the way over?
I might save that for after the shows tonight, Tim, to get a little bit of a sweet treat there. But, you know, we're in and out of the clouds here up in Colony. It's beautiful, though. Beautiful feel to the air, and all the kids out enjoying the playground, people walking their dogs, going for a jog, a bike ride, a walk themselves. Just nice to be able to actually get out and enjoy the weather for once, especially considering on how wet July as a whole was. And we're hoping that we're going to continue to see some of this dry weather over the coming weeks, and of course, hopefully during most of the month of August. Would be nice to get a little bit of a reprieve from that very wet July that we had. And for the time being, it does look like we'll be able to string several of those dry days together. So for all of those details on just how dry it'll be, how warm the temperatures will get, because you know, it does not look like summer is done with us just yet. We're going to send it back into the studio for the details on that. For now, though, I'm live from the Mobile Storm Tracker, sponsored by Curtis Lumber. I'm Rob Lindenmuth. Tim, back to you.
All right, Rob, enjoy the afternoon over there. We'll catch you in the next half hour. In Albany right now, it's 75. That is the high for the day today. 77 at Hudson. Cooler at Pittsfield at 69, but it's 75 at North Dedham, 73 at Great Barrington. Mid-60s at Manchester to 76 at Glens Falls and at Saratoga. 70 at Cobleskill, near 70 as you make your way toward Lake Pleasant. Wind, little gusty in nature today. Some of the gusts approaching 20 miles per hour in Albany, and not only here in Albany, but also down the road at Johnstown. We'll see this wind completely diminish like we have the last few nights, and overnight lows tonight dropping back into the lower 50s in the Tri-Cities. So it's beautiful today. This wrinkle here, a couple of showers popped up as we anticipated, and high pressure sprawling all the way back into the Mississippi Valley, all the way through the Great Lakes, all the way through the upper Midwest, and we get to have this now for most of this week. There is some moisture lurking across the southeast, and there's some energy that'll be coming out of southern Canada, and those elements will combine to produce some cloud cover issues and the earliest chance of a shower Thursday. And we're leaning to toward south and east of Albany by that point in time. So the futurecast as we head through tonight, you know, we get into some of these weather patterns at times in the Weather Center. We're kind of like ho-hum. It's boring after the last 5 or 6 weeks. We're not bored. We'll take this. Clear tonight, patchy fog and low clouds. For tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, the best way to call it. Heading through tomorrow night into the day on Wednesday, watching this moisture to our south, watching that boundary to our north, and we still end up squeezing out a nice day. Some high clouds bleeding over the region from the moisture coming up from the southland, and that boundary pretty much still to the north. So it's dry on Wednesday, and that's the reason why, based on the moisture coming up from the south, we're focusing the shower threat now east and south of Albany for Thursday. Highs tomorrow, Tuesday, mid-70s. Glens Falls, Albany down to Kingston. Across western New England, pretty much the same deal, a degree or two cooler. 75 Johnstown, 71 Lake Pleasant, near 70 up at Big Moose. Highs on Wednesday, a degree or two warmer. And then come Thursday, we should be touching 80 here in Albany. And that's when the humidity starts to become noticeable once again. Here's your forecast as we head through tonight. Down to 53. Average should be in the lower 60s. So still running below average, and needless to say, I don't think too many complaints. For tomorrow, up to 77, sunny to partly cloudy, pleasant. On the water tomorrow, we're going to call it 10 out of 10 on the old UV. A smooth to light chop on the open water. Water temperatures, $1 Million Beach, Warner Bay, lower 70s. Extended forecast for Wednesday, partly sunny, a high of 78. Partly sunny on Thursday, risk of a shower south and east, a high near 80. Feeling a little bit humid. A little bit noticeable, more noticeable with the humidity on Friday, and that summertime feel to the air back in earnest. Not full force, mid-80s over the weekend, perhaps upper 80s, close to 90 next Monday, guys.
Summer is back. Thank you, Tim. The debut of a new sport at Japan 2020. Why the land of the rising sun was the perfect place for the introduction of karate to the international stage.
And athletes in trouble for breaking COVID protocols. How organizers are using them to better prepare themselves for the future.
And now here's a look at what's coming up tonight on News 10 ABC. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader.
In continuing coverage, the town of Webb still under a state of emergency. A major explosion at a residence in Old Forge. About 17 homes were affected by the blast. Several now have lasting structural damage and broken windows. 2 landscapers working next door also received lacerations and bruising Incident is still pending further investigation, but officials believe the explosion and fire were likely caused by propane involvement.
Continuing coverage now of Japan 2020, Olympic organizers cracking down on the athletes and the staff that are caught breaking COVID-19 protocols, going as far as revoking their credentials to even be at the games. They've already done this for 6 people now, including 2 Georgian judo athletes who left the Olympic Village to go sightseeing. 8 other people have had their credentials suspended. Organizers say these rules were set well before the games, compiled in a playbook for everyone.
Every time there is a case, we need to go deep and take action.
Now, the organizers say they're taking the lessons learned during these games, and they're going to use them to improve before the Paralympic Games, which kick off in about 3 weeks.
We've seen the debut of several new sports in the Tokyo Olympics, like skateboarding and surfing. Another new sport will begin competition soon.
But while the sport of karate is new to the Olympics, it's certainly not new to Japan.
Maria-Elena Belouris shows us more.
It's here in Japan where karate originated, and here at the Tokyo Olympics is where the sport will debut on the world stage. It's a milestone that's not lost on athletes. For a sport that's all about precision, karate's Olympic debut is perfectly timed.
We all love doing as karate athletes, and we just never had the chance to, show it to the world where we have like bigger audience, right? And what better place than the Olympics.
Sakura Kokomai is one of 3 U.S. athletes competing in karate. For her, it's special because she's in the land of her ancestors.
I'm really grateful for this experience of representing U.S., a country where I was born and raised in, but also I get to represent Japan.
Karate originated in Okinawa, Japan, and spread throughout the country during the 1920s. Olympic competition will take place in Nippon Budokan, known as the spiritual home of Japanese martial arts. The sport has spread worldwide, especially in the U.S.
Very surprised. Wherever you go, that's a small shopping center. So they always, karate, lesson, like a place.
Minori Markin is Japanese and a professor at Old Dominion University in Virginia. She's happy about the Japanese cultural display at the games.
It's time to more officially show off Japanese culture.
And that showcase of karate will begin on August 5th. In Tokyo, I'm Maria-Elena Belouris.
Now here's a look at what's coming up next on News 10 ABC at 4:30. No shop, no service. Should local businesses turn away people if they don't have the vaccine? We'll hear from owners in Saratoga and Albany.
Also, we'll take a close look at the latest COVID transmission numbers here in New York State and all New England states when compared with the much higher rates now in southern states.
And will a notorious local child sexual predator soon be up for parole from state prison? His victims speak out.
You're watching News 10 ABC, your local news leader.
Closed captioning sponsored by Albany Med. Capitalize your career at albanymedcareers.com.
This Destination Japan news update is sponsored by J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling.